Okay, there we go. Clickety click. Okay. This video is on called Seek Communion, the Common Grounds. Our family has the following motto: love God, to walk daily with our Creator, to love self, to honor our authentic design and calling, love others, to respect and affirm our one human race, express principles, to stand firm in our universal moral center, and seek communion, to work interdependently and corporately. I believe that there are pros and cons to most things in life. I believe that one of God's chosen jobs is to save and to redeem that which is lost, provided the lost exercise free will by stepping out to seek Him with their whole mind and heart. I believe that God can minister to or speak through anyone or anything in a language and timing that the receiver can understand best. Finally, I believe that God can minister to others through someone who may or may not be walking in a covenant relationship with Him, or in a relationship that
Hey guys.
that we as outsiders of that relationship can understand in our human faculties. I use this as a preface to discuss two Mormons in hopes that you can set their chosen religion aside for a minute while I make my points. Most of those my age were impacted by a Mormon named Stephen Covey and his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This book begins by distinguishing between the personality ethic and the character ethic. The rest of the book describes your ability to follow your true north based on universal absolutes in the context of a principle-centered lifestyle. The individual progresses from dependence on external authority sources to independence on internal self-authority to healthy self-governing interdependence. His chosen religious track aside, this book was used by God to minister to many on how to live a Judeo-Christian worldview at a time when the church body was reducing its focus to the gospel and hell insurance only. Over the past decades, Natalie. Let's see here. Okay. Excuse us. Over the past decade, many have also been impacted by a Mormon named Glenn Beck and his various media formats. He has encouraged us as well to restore honor by defining the principles that we live by and understanding why we live by them.
Mom,
to restore courage. What?
Mom listens to Glenn Beck all the
time. Sometimes when I'm awake and it fits our schedule. To restore courage by living out our right of conscience in preparation for when we stand before our Most High Judge, and by standing on our convictions before our fellow travelers. To restore love by being neighborly to one another and building up a sense of healthy community, as well as by reacting to times of crisis from a place of love rather than from a place of fear and violence. And to restore unity by agreeing to disagree on areas that lead to division, and by uniting around commonalities, more specifically, uniting around principles that we share. A nation chooses who it will serve and what sins it will participate in, and a nation learns and grows as it ages, unlike a human that may be judged in this world or the afterlife. A nation receives its consequences only on this temporal plane. The United States of America has had its fair share of good, bad, ugly, and beautiful moments. I believe our country was built on and maintained from the 17th to the 20th century at moments when we acknowledged and respected our differences as a matter of creation and conscience between individuals and their ultimate creator and final judge, and when we interacted and united as interdependent persons from a place of love around shared universal absolute truths and principle-centered lives. I believe that as American Christians prepare to go underground and into hiding from our rogue government, the idea of denominational distinctives will be less abrasive. We already find this occurring naturally as denominational headquarters are increasingly turning toward liberal theology, social justice, and the New Age Spiritism. Labels are being removed, and those who live by a scripture or covenant-based worldview are seeking out others with a similar lifestyle. I pray that as Christian denominational divisions break, that the walls between Christians and Jews also break. The same liberal theology, social justice, and spiritual, but not religious, are being felt in both camps. There is a long and ugly history between these two Abrahamic religions. Name-calling and mudslinging leads to eyes glaring and crossing to the other side of the street to prevent becoming a target. Catholic Christians and Methodist Christians and Pentecostal Christians and Quaker Christians are having to lay down denominational and historic differences in order to unite under shared universal absolutes. My prayer is that sometime soon both religious groups will also lay down painful differences in order to unite. Historically, around 96 to 130 AD, Christians officially separated themselves from Jews. Roman laws and treatments of Jews wedged a division and forced distinctive religious practices for better recognition between the two. Christians retained Yahweh, the monotheistic creator, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the lawgiver and his divine revelation, his sacred scriptures, and the basic liturgical cycle and liturgy format. Jews and Christians continued to have fairly good relationships until about 1095 AD. At this point, Jews remember well how the Christians sang church hymns and held high the cross of their Christ before Jewish eyes, as they forced conversions and massacred them during the Crusades and Inquisitions. Having been raised a Christian, I knew briefly that these times were between Catholic Christians and Muslims, or Catholic Christians and the doctrinal heresies of the Protestant Christians. I was completely oblivious to any Jewish components. Yes, Jews reject Jesus as the chosen Messiah, but the Bible also says that the Jews are to live as a light before the nations and be available when the Gentiles grab the Jews' prayer shawls for direction. Zechariah 8:23. Yes, today's Jews honor Gentiles who have gone many extra miles for the sake with the title of righteous Gentile. They also acknowledge that some Christians have, through the centuries, attempted to save or soften persecutions and expulsions. As many in Western countries make final pleas to friends, loved ones, and neighbors to begin or to strengthen their personal mind and heart covenant relationship with their Creator God, Yahweh. Healthy bonds need linked based on common grounds of shared truth principles.